am so excited because I'm finally starting to get into the routine of creating videos and uploading them on a continuous basis. And pardon the footsteps if you're hearing it, it's the puppies walking around the house, floor, whatever. In today's episode of Coffee with Me, I don't know why I love doing that. So today I decided our episode is going to be more of a formal or proper introduction about who I am, where I'm from, and why I'm doing this. So we're going to start with, why am I doing this? Why am I vlogging? Why? Well, first of all, I wanted to start with, I love photography. And I like taking pictures, and I used to blog a lot, especially when live journal and all that was new way back in the day, and the internet was not really in its adolescent years, but still kind of starting to emerge. I really loved doing that, and I was pretty active, and life happens, and I came back, and then I realized my love for filmography. So I like taking videos. Obviously, I am not a director or whatever, but I still love taking videos, so why not share them? So that's the basic gist of it all. So to make things easier, an introduction and all that, I decided it's going to be more of a Q&A kind of thing. So I am going to be answering questions that I usually get asked since I got here. And here we go. Where did you come from? So every time I mention that I am an immigrant, people ask, where did I come from? So I say I am from the Philippines! I am from the Philippines, and in case you don't know where it is, because a lot of people apparently don't really know where it is, which is surprising, but I really can't blame it because, not everybody's interested in geography, and not everybody really talks about a lot of other countries unless it's mentioned in the news or whatever. So that's fine. I am not offended, but I am surprised because obviously I came from Asia, and every time I travel around Southeast Asia and you say I'm from the Philippines, it's no different than me hearing someone say I'm from Thailand and I know where it is. So I am from the Philippines. It is a group of islands in Southeast Asia, and it's a tropical country. We have lovely people, friendly and hospitable. That's what we're known for. Always has a smile on our faces. And we have, I want to say, great food. I know some people contest that, but everybody's contesting which food is great or whatnot. I love our food, and we're probably going to go into that because I am sharing some videos. I have some previous recipe videos, whatever, and I'm planning to make more of that. So for you to decide. Try it, Next question. What's the Philippines like? So this is more of in comparison to the United States because I moved here. So that'll give you a better understanding or idea of what the Philippines is like. So the Philippines has 3 major islands or sections, like how the US has the Midwest, the East Coast, the West Coast, the South, and all that. And right now I'm living in the Midwest. I'm in Wisconsin. And the Philippines has 3 partitions. I don't know how you're gonna call that really. Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So honestly, each part and even each island is very unique in itself, which is very interesting because that makes it traveling within the country interesting. Because sometimes I go to an island that I'm not from, or just a place that I'm not familiar with, and it feels very foreign and interesting because you learn new things, you even taste new food. And we actually have so many dialects that my language or my dialect is different from those in the South. So where I'm from Cavite City. So they call it a tangway because it looks like a hand that's sticking out of a mainland. I think you call that a peninsula. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I came from Cavite City, and it is close to Manila. It is actually very much part of it now, especially during the urbanization that Manila or the National Capital Region has spread out. So it's pretty much urbanized. Cavite City is more of like at least when I left, it's more of like a residential city. There's a lot of houses, a lot of people, not a lot of buildings or businesses. There's local businesses, but you can't compare it to Makati or Pasay. I think it's more like if you go somewhere like to the residential suburbs of Manila. That's what Cavite City is like. There's a lot of pride in that city because we take pride as Caviteños, you know. We have our food. There used to be a mix of Tagalog and Spanish, which is called Chavacano. I never learned to speak it. My grandparents did. Actually, I think my grandparents spoke more of a Spanish more Spanish rather than Chavacano, but I think they also spoke Chavacano. It is a dying language, unfortunately. But yeah, that's one of the things that the city was proud of. Our food is very influenced by the Spaniards. I believe it's probably because the city has a base, a military base, which is once a fort. So there were a lot of Spaniards there back in the day. So the food, the language was heavily influenced by the Spanish when they were there. When the U.S. occupied the Philippines during the war, it was more of a U.S. base. There's Sangley Point. I really want to say the U.S. occupied. I don't know if that's the right term because they didn't really conquer us, but more like they kind of did actually. And when they bought us from Spain in 1898, after the Spanish-American War, and they blew each other up in Manila Bay and I think somewhere in Mexico. Anyway, let's not get into history because I might say wrong things. But anyway, yeah, the Americans were there in Sangley Point, and eventually, it's just now a Philippine naval base. Next question. What's my language? So I pretty much discussed that already. So my language, my dialect is Tagalog. Filipino is the language of the Philippines, but like I mentioned earlier, there are so many different local dialects. You really can't say Tagalog is the Filipino language because Bisaya, there's Waray and other languages is also very spoken throughout the country. And I think there's more Visaya or Waray speakers. I think it's Visaya speakers than Tagalog. So I would say my language is Filipino, the dialect is Tagalog. So I think that's more accurate. That's spoken in the southern Tagalog region, obviously. So you just go a few miles north or south, there's a different dialect. But pretty much the whole country understands Tagalog because it's taught all over the country. Unfortunately, I do not have any other dialects. It would have been Chavacano if it was taught, but I never learned it. Sad. So right now I'm just bilingual. I speak English and Tagalog. I understand very little German, a little anime Japanese, and Spanish, a little Spanish. So I can kind of converse very little in Spanish and German, but mainly Tagalog and English. Tell us about your food. My food. My food. So, so as I have mentioned earlier, Caviteño food is heavily influenced by the Spaniards. So we have a lot of stews, and we have our own paella, and it's pretty much a mix of Asian cuisine and Spanish cuisine, which I later learned that it's actually similar to a lot of other places. We just call it differently. We do have balut, but that's more of a national thing. We have balut. I love balut. Some people hate it. I will not get into the controversy that surrounds it, but it's one of the national things that apparently is also available when you go to Vietnam. I don't know if it's in Thailand, but it's apparently, widespread in Southeast Asia as well. And I like it. Alright, so what is vacationing in the Philippines like? We have a lot of beaches. We have a lot of white sand. We have black sand because the Philippines is part of the Ring of Fire. There's a lot of volcanoes in the Philippines. Probably not as big or explosive as Hawaii or Japan. I don't know, but we do have some exploding volcanoes right now going on right there. No, it's not close to my mother. A little bit, several miles away. I don't think it'll reach her, but yeah, we are in the Ring of Fire. That being said, there's a lot of volcanic rocks and sand, so there's black sand which is volcanic soil or sand, and there's white beaches. The Philippines is famous for Boracay and Palawan. I love those places. Boracay is one of my favorite vacation spots when I was there. I haven't gone home. So if I do, I'm definitely going to go back there, and I'm definitely going to go back to Palawan. There's a lot of places I want to visit. There's Siargao. I definitely want to see that. I think you can go surfing and all that stuff there. So yeah, very tropical, very hot. The normal temperature would probably be around 90 degrees and up. What are you guys doing? So, for the second half of this video, we're going to talk about why am I here? So a lot of people are curious to know why I decided to move to the United States. So just to start with, there's usually 3 reasons why Filipinos are in the United States, or why they moved to the United States. The first reason is because their family's here. So sometimes their spouse, their parents, their siblings are already in the United States from a long time ago, and they decided to move here to join the rest of the family, you know. Filipinos are very close-knit families, so for the most part, if your parents are there, your siblings are there, of course you also want to be there. So that doesn't just happen in the United States, it's pretty much all across the globe. So you would hear stories about, you know, some parents or a sibling moved to somewhere in Europe or somewhere in Australia, and you know, everybody follows, because that's just how it is. The second reason why people move here is for job opportunities. So the US and the Philippines, sometimes they do offer this visa, a special type of visa for certain jobs. So I do have friends who are here on those special visas, and they're usually like teachers or nurses or engineers. Why they outsource or they offer this job opportunities to foreign people, from what I know, don't quote me on that because this is just what I know and this is not a fact. There's a lack of these people. So one of my friends who is a teacher, you know, they have teacher openings and nobody's trying to get to those openings. Nobody's getting hired or trying to apply, which is why these openings are open for foreign people outside of the United States. And a lot of Filipinos have degrees and would take this opportunity to move here and eventually move with their family as well. And the third and probably most popular opinion or option or whatever you want to call that reason why Filipinos are in the United States are they married an American. So there's actually 2 kinds of visas. There's a K1 visa if you are a fiance, and there's a CR1 visa if you're already married in your home country and you want to move to the United States to your spouse's home country. So I came here on a K1 visa, and that actually leads to more questions. First is, how old is your husband? My husband is 4 years younger than me. So he said it himself, age is just a number, baby. So it doesn't really matter how old or young your spouse is. Love is love. And I believe that. Because, you know, I've dated guys who were older than me and guys who were younger than me. And what's important is chemistry and that you love each other. So, you know, you can't always have that. Oh my god, I'm giving love advice. You can't always have that expectation or that limit that I'm only going to date guys who are older or guys who are younger or whatever, or girls who are already mature, girls who are just single, never married. Sometimes you just meet the one, because I did that. I said I will never date a guy who's younger. Because in my experience, younger guys are just immature for the most part. I'm not saying all, but they are. So I'm like, nope. And I met this guy who's actually the youngest guy I've ever dated. And that's my husband now. So it worked out pretty well, didn't it? I had to hold that laugh in. I think I swallowed a bunch of air. Oh my god, why am I like this? How did you meet your husband? How did you meet your husband? I met him online. And it was there's an argument between us how it happened. But it's very coincidental. It's a coincidence? I don't know. I don't think it's a coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidence. I want to say that. But it was unintentional. So a long time ago, there was this website called FormSpring. And it's like Reddit, but it's not. You can ask a question and a bunch of people can answer. But the way it works is you can only ask like one question and post one photo with that question at a time. So you can post with or without a photo, and you can just ask anything random, you know, like you can ask like, what's your favorite band? And you're gonna have like all this random people answer you like, oh, I like this band, blah, blah, blah. So this was in 2014, and I had this account for probably a few years already, and I just decided to log in. I was, you know, just asking random stuff, and he answered. And, you know, he's just one of the people who's answering, and he's asking questions, and I answered. And we just started talking from there. So, and actually I was talking to a bunch of other people too, like girls, guys, you know, just making friends online. So we were like friends online, and he's one of the people that I added on Facebook that I thought I could trust. So there's like probably 3 or 4 people that I met there that I added on Facebook, and we became Facebook friends. And, you know, I didn't really think anything of it until we started talking more and more, and the rest is history. On to the next question. My tablet keeps locking. Come on. Ay, naku. Oh god, it disappeared. This is not a question, but more like a comment that I get, sadly, mostly from fellow Asians or fellow Filipinos. Are you a gold digger? If I was a gold digger, I would have married that old man who offered me all his salary. Are you a gold digger? No, I am not a gold digger. So it's very sad that a lot of people would assume that because you came to the United States as an immigrant who married your partner. And this is also shown in a lot of reality shows, sadly, that, oh, they're just getting married for money. They tend to assume that everybody's trying to do that, but it's not true. So no, I am not a gold digger. So that being said, when I met my husband, when we were still in the dating phase, he's always told me, I'm poor. And I didn't really know what poor in the United States meant, but he would say I'm poor. So I never asked him for anything. I never asked him to send me money. I think he did one time or twice because I needed glasses, and I was in the Philippines, and at that time, you know, it was an emergency. I didn't have extra money, so he helped me get glasses, but that was pretty much it. I'm a very proud person, so I don't like asking for help from anyone, even him, even my parents. I'm not that person, so I'm very proud, and people sometimes say it's borderline arrogant, or I am arrogant. I am, not ashamed, but yeah, when I came here, he barely met the minimum borderline, like of the poverty line. He was just a little bit over. Thankfully, there's just 2 of us. We do not have kids, and we still do not have kids. We have 2 puppies, a cat, and 2 guinea pigs. The dogs are expensive. The cat is too. They're all expensive because they're very spoiled, but we do not have children, which I think actually helped us become more stable. Because, you know, kids are expensive, childbirth is expensive, health, medical bills is expensive. But yeah, we started out poor. We rented the house, and we do grocery shopping. We have a calculator on one hand, and we have to literally input everything that we put in the cart, because, you know, we could only spend $50 or $100 during that grocery shopping that has to last 2 weeks or probably more. Just so you know, when you come to the United States as a fiance and you got married, you don't automatically get a green card. There's a lot of expenses and a lot of, you know, hoops and processes to finish the paperwork. I am not against the paperwork, but I wish it was a little bit more simple because they're making it very tedious. So I'm sure there's a reason for that, but, you know, you have to wait before you can work. So I had to wait before I could financially help him with bills. Thankfully back then it was faster. So I'll probably make a different video about my K1 visa experience, but I got my green card within 4 months or 5 months, and I was able to work immediately. So yeah, but during that time that I wasn't working, I can't even buy a bar of chocolate after doing groceries because, you know, we just can't spend the extra dollar. So no, I was not a gold digger. We were actually poor, and I knew what I was getting into. When I came here, I used my last paycheck as like my pocket money. I think I had like $500. The cost of living in the Philippines and the United States is quite different. I mean, it is expensive now in the Philippines, but the pay is very different. So there's that. So I guess that's it, because the other questions are, do you have kids? What's your age gap? And I think I pretty much discussed all of that. So that is the basic intro about me, why I'm in the United States, and just a little bit of something about myself and my family life and my life here. So I'm gonna be doing the laundry now. Well, folding the laundry, which I absolutely hate. And we're going to talk about other random stuff next time. So stay tuned. I'm going to be discussing about culture shock, about getting in the United States, and American food. And if you're interested, I'm probably going to talk about my K1 visa as well. So this is many years ago. It's not the latest information, but might as well share the experience. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye!